We're in an era where the running back position is being devalued. Teams are rarely spending high draft picks and large amount of dollars on their backfields. And why? Because running backs are easy to replace. It's not hard to find a 1,000-yard back in this day and age, but it's still important to have a reliable runner who can take over a game when needed. You can't win a Super Bowl in this day and age with a one-dimensional offense. So, here are our rankings for all 32 starting running backs in the NFL from worst to first for the 2020 season. Number 32, Ronald Jones, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Bucs have always been a pass-heavy team under Bruce Arians. With Tom Brady now in the fold, supplemented by 2 superstar receivers, what's the point of putting an emphasis on the ground game? Jones had 742 yards and 6 touchdowns for the Bucs last year, but his workload will likely reduce in 2020. The Bucs will be throwing the ball a lot, and they used a 3rd-round pick on Keyshawn Vaughn, who should challenge Jones for lead back duties. Number 31, Cam Akers, Los Angeles Rams. The Rams decided to release former star Todd Gurley this offseason. The reins will be handed down to rookie Cam Akers, whom the Rams drafted in the 2nd round at number 52 overall. Akers has a wonderful skill set that should mesh nicely in Sean McVay's offense, but he's a rookie and we can't just assume that it'll be great right away. It may take a year or two until Akers begins to take off at the professional level. Number 30, DeAndre Swift, Detroit Lions. Look, we love DeAndre Swift as the player. We just don't know how he'll fit on a Detroit Lions team that rarely uses its running backs effectively. They haven't had a 1,000-yard rusher since 2013 when Reggie Bush hit the mark. The Lions are always going to be a pass-heavy team with Matt Stafford. If Swift went just about anywhere else, he'd probably be a few spots higher on this list. Hopefully, the Lions maximize the skill sets, though. Number 29, David Johnson, Houston Texans. Remember when Johnson was the ultimate must-have in fantasy football? Those were the days. After another disastrous season with the Cardinals, Johnson was traded to the Houston Texans as a part of the blockbuster. Clearly, Bill O'Brien still sees a lot of value in Johnson. I mean, the Texans made Carlos Hyde a 1,000-yard back last year. So if Johnson stays healthy, maybe O'Brien will have been onto something. Number 28, Clyde Edwards-HELAIRE, Kansas City Chiefs. As if Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs didn't have enough offensive weapons to begin with, Edwards-HELAIRE was taken 32nd overall by the defending Super Bowl champions, and you know he'll produce right away. The ground game was a weak link in KC last year, but that'll change with Edwards-HELAIRE in the fold. Don't be shocked if he hits 1,000 yards and double-digit touchdowns in his rookie year. Number 27, James Conner, Pittsburgh Steelers. Conner flourished as Le'Veon Bell's replacement in 2018, with 973 rushing yards and 12 touchdowns. But injuries and the absence of Ben Roethlisberger led to a down year for Conner, who finished with a mere 464 yards and 4 touchdowns on 116 carries. Conner might not even be Pittsburgh's lead back for 2020. Jalen Samuels or rookie Anthony McFarland Jr. could very well win the starting duties over him. Needless to say, it's a make-or-break year for Conner in the Steel City. Number 26, SONY MICHEL, New England Patriots. A plethora of injuries on the Pats O-line led to a down year for Michel, who went down from 4.5 yards per carry in 2018 to a lowly 3.7 yards per carry in 2019. Although he did cross the 900-yard mark for the 2nd straight season. Tom Brady may be gone, but you know Bill Belichick will continue to put an emphasis on the ground game, especially if Cam Newton is his starting quarterback. Then he'll really want to run the ball down the opposition's throat. Expect a bit of a bounce back year from Michel. Number 25, Jordan Howard, Miami Dolphins. 2 1,000-yard seasons and 3 900-yard seasons through his first 4 years. And yet, Howard will be on his 3rd team in as many years. After losing the starting job to Miles Sanders in Philadelphia, Howard was traded to the Dolphins this offseason. He should flourish there under head coach Brian Flores, although fellow newcomer Matt Breida could challenge for the starting gig as well. But given his track record, Howard should be the lead back for at least the start of the season. We'll find out if the Dolphins can help him regain that 1,000-yard form again. Number 24, Adrian Peterson. The ageless wonder continues to play at a high level in his mid-30s. Absolutely remarkable in an era where many running backs hit the end of their primes before they turn 30. After rushing for 1,042 yards in 2018, AP continued to produce in 2019, finishing with 898 yards and 5 touchdowns. We do expect his role to be significantly reduced in 2020, however, as Washington now has 3 talented young backs in Bryce Love, Antonio Gibson, and Darius Geis. Number 23, Marlon Mack, Indianapolis Colts. Rookie Jonathan Taylor will push for the starting job, but he's gonna have to earn it. MACK has been a workhorse on the Colts offense. He hit 1,091 yards and 8 touchdowns last season. The year before, MACK had 908 yards and 9 scores. He's playing like a true number 1 back, but Taylor's skill set and the threat he poses to MACK's workload cannot be ignored. Number 22, Le'Veon Bell, New York Jets. Bell's first year at the Jets was a major disappointment. Head coach Adam Gase, renowned for his offensive mind, only got 789 yards, a woeful 3.2 yards per carry, and 3 touchdowns out of him. On the bright side, Bell was still productive in the passing game, with 66 catches for 461 yards. But with the money he's being paid, Bell ought to be at least a 1,000-yard rusher. No excuses. The Jets offense picked it up in the second half of the last season, so there is some reason for optimism in 2020. Number 21, Todd Gurley, Atlanta Falcons. It's easy to write Gurley off given his recent injury history. The Rams sure gave up on him quickly after all. But folks, Gurley quietly turned in a pretty good year behind an awful O-line while dealing with injuries. He had 857 yards and 12 rushing touchdowns. He wasn't as explosive and not very productive in the passing game, but Gurley showed he can still be a number 1 back. Gurley is at least an upgrade over Devonta Freeman, who's been hampered by injuries himself. If the Falcons watch his workload and keep him fresh, Gurley might hit 1,000 yards again. Don't sleep on him. Number 20, Kenyon Drake, Arizona Cardinals. Drake took off after the Dolphins traded him to Arizona. He finished with 643 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns in 8 games with his new team, averaging a whopping 5.2 yards per carry. Cliff Kingsbury made the most of Drake's talents following his arrival. You can expect a monster season for the Cardinals back. He's an absolute must-have on your fantasy team. Number 19, Mark Ingram, Baltimore Ravens. Ingram played a monumental role on a Ravens team that set the record for most rushing yards in a single season. He recorded 1,018 yards and 10 touchdowns, helping Lamar Jackson win the MVP as the Ravens cruise to a 14-2 record. Ingram is a brilliant fit in Greg Roman's offense. That said, you know Jackson, Gus Edwards, rookie J.K. Dobbins, possibly even Justice Hill will probably get their fair share of carries. So statistical regression is likely for Ingram. Doesn't mean he can't be a game changer in their offense though. Number 18, Miles Sanders, Philadelphia Eagles. Sanders tuned in a brilliant rookie year for the Eagles. 818 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. With so many injuries to key receivers, Doug Peterson has had to rely on his lead back to help the offense, and Sanders did just that. A monster sophomore year is in store for Sanders. The Eagles are no longer an RB by committee team. This is Sanders' backfield now, and he's set to build off a superb rookie season. Number 17, Leonard Fournette, Jacksonville Jaguars. In what many deemed a make-or-break year for Fournette, the third-year running back tuned in his best season yet. He's at a career high in rushing yards with 1,152, and Fournette was productive in the passing game too, with 76 receptions for 522 yards. Fournette's name has popped up aplenty in trade rumors, despite being a 2-time 1,000-yard rusher. He may not have a long-term future in Jacksonville, but when healthy, he's truly a starting caliber RB. You just have to hope that his body will hold up. Number 16, Melvin Gordon, Denver Broncos. One has to assume that the Broncos are planning to make Gordon the starter over Philip Lindsay. You don't give a running back $16 million over 2 years to be a backup. The Gordon signing surprised many, considering Lindsay is a 2-time 1,000-yard rusher. Gordon struggled in his final year with the Los Angeles Chargers, having missed the first 4 games due to a holdout. Well, a healthy and motivated Gordon should rush for something in the 800 to 1,100 yard range behind a steady offensive line in Denver. But we also wouldn't be shocked if Lindsay manages to take over the starting duties. Either way, the Broncos are set at running back. Number 15, David Montgomery, Chicago Bears. The Bears heavily underused Montgomery in his rookie season. It's beyond us how they prioritize putting the ball in Mitch Trubisky's hands instead of Montgomery, who tallied 889 rushing yards and 6 touchdowns. Head coach Matt Nagy won't make that same mistake again. He knows he has a special weapon in the backfield here. Montgomery will be the centerpiece of the offense in 2020, and he should hit 1,000 plus yards in year 2. Consider Montgomery a sleeper in your fantasy drafts. Number 14, Austin Eckler, Los Angeles Chargers. With Melvin Gordon gone, Eckler is the undisputed lead back in LA. Although he produced a respectable 557 yards and 3 touchdowns on 132 carries, Eckler was especially dangerous as a pass catcher. He had 92 receptions for 993 yards and 8 touchdowns in 2019. Simply brilliant. Eckler and Justin Jackson can easily share the rushing duties, but Eckler as a receiver is why we placed him on the top half of this list. He's an absolute machine in that offense. Number 13, Devin Singletary, Buffalo Bills. Bills. Singletary played a major role in the Bills' success last season, helping them earn just their second playoff berth in the 21st century. He had 775 rushing yards and 2 scores, but with Frank Gore long gone, this could be Singletary's opportunity to really make a name for himself in the NFL. And boy, he's ready for it. Singletary was one of the most explosive backs whenever he got the ball last year. Everybody knew the Bills found a hidden gem when they snagged him in the 3rd round at number 74 overall in 2019. Expect a Pro Bowl caliber season in 2020. Number 12, Raheem Mostert, San Francisco 49ers. Mostert emerged as the leader in a crowded 49ers backfield. After a productive regular season, he was virtually unstoppable in the playoffs with 336 total rushing yards and 5 touchdowns in 3 games. Kyle Shanahan sure found gold here. Mostert is unquestionably the lead back after his dominant postseason showing. We can't wait to see what he has in store for 2020. Number 11, Aaron Jones, Green Bay Packers. Jones was arguably the MVP of the Packers offense last season. First-year head coach Matt LaFleur decided to run the ball more, rather than completely relying on Aaron Rodgers, and it turned out to be the right call. Green Bay won 13 games en route to an NFC Championship game appearance. Jones rushed for 1,084 yards and 16 touchdowns, tying Derrick Henry for the league lead in the latter category. There is no reason to believe that Jones can't be just as good, if not better, in 2020. He'll be a focal point on this offense once again. Number 10, Chris Carson, Seattle Seahawks. Back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons and 16 total touchdowns since 2018. What more do you want to know? Carson is an absolute stud who complements Russell Wilson in the passing game perfectly. Carson unfortunately suffered a season-ending hip injury in Week 16 against Arizona. What a difference he could have been in the postseason. As long as he's healthy, Carson will be near the top of the leaderboard in rushing yards once again. Number 9. Joe Mixon, Cincinnati Bengals. Despite being stuck on a lowly Bengals team, Mixon has been one of the league's top running backs over the last 2 seasons. He's crossed the 1,100-yard mark for the 2nd straight year in 2019 while rushing for 5 touchdowns. As the Bengals try to assimilate Joe Burrow to the NFL, don't be surprised if they give Mixon a heavier workload. Why not use this playmaking running back while your rookie QB tries to build his confidence? Don't be surprised if Mixon is a top 5 rusher this year. Number 8, Dalvin Cook, Minnesota Vikings. The Vikings saved their season by putting the ball in the hands of Dalvin Cook, and wouldn't you know it, Kirk Cousins actually played better because the Vikings didn't rely on the passing game entirely. Credit to Kevin Stefanski and Gary Kubiak for implementing a rush-heavy offense under Cook, who turned in his best season yet with 1,135 yards and 13 touchdowns. Assuming the holdout doesn't affect his performance, Cook will once again be the engine that steers the mini offense in 2020. Number 7, Alvin Kamara, New Orleans Saints. Kamara's production slipped a bit in 2019, but he was still an instrumental piece of the Saints offense. Not only is he dangerous as a runner, but Kamara is among the league's elite pass catchers on the backfield. Don't forget that Drew Brees missed 5 games last season. That affected Kamara's production a bit, but he's still an elite fantasy player, and he'll continue to be a potent part of the Saints' juggernaut going forward. Number 6, Josh Jacobs, Las Vegas Raiders. One can easily assume that Jacobs deserved the Offensive Rookie of the Year award over Kyler Murray. He was a star in his first NFL season, rushing for 1,150 yards and 7 touchdowns. You just knew John Gruden was going to do great things with Jacobs as his running back. We cannot wait for the encore. Jacobs is going to be an absolute stud in 2020. Number 5, Nick Chubb, Cleveland Browns. The Browns were arguably the NFL's biggest disappointment in 2019. That's not all the fault of Nick Chubb though. His 1,494 rushing yards placed Chubb second in the entire NFL. Stefanski, the new head coach in Cleveland, did wonders with Cook and Minnie. Now he gets Chubb, another one of the league's top-tier running backs. Wow, don't be shocked at all if Chubb is your 2020 rushing leader. This guy has a promising future ahead of him. Number 4, Derrick Henry, Tennessee Titans. If the NFL had an annual MVP award for running backs, it would have gone to Henry in 2020. He won the rushing title with 1,540 yards, and as mentioned earlier, his 16 rushing touchdowns were tied with Aaron Jones for the league lead. Henry was a beast in the postseason too. He single-handedly defeated the Patriots in the wildcard round. He then guided Tennessee past MVP Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, before finally bowing out to KC in the AFC title game. Henry finished the postseason with 446 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. He even threw a touchdown pass in the playoff win against Baltimore. It's obviously unlikely that Henry will repeat his MVP-like season from 2019, but he's still in that elite class of running backs. The Titans will continue to lean on him in 2020. Number 3, Saquon Barkley, New York Giants. Barkley unfortunately missed 3 games in 2019 due to an ankle injury, so he wasn't able to take his game to a whole new level following a dominant rookie year. That's okay, he still recorded 1,003 yards and 6 touchdowns. If he plays all 16 games, he'll be a game-changing force all over the field. And another year of experience for Daniel Jones should only help Barkley, as he looks to assert himself as the NFL's best back. Number 2, EZEKIEL Elliott, Dallas Cowboys. 2 rushing titles in his first 3 years, 3 Pro Bowl selections, over 1,300 yards in 3 of 4 seasons? Yep, Zeke is a superstar alright. Elliott has to be considered one of the primary favorites to win the rushing title in 2020. Again, he was 4th in 2019 with 1,357 yards. Mike McCarthy will build his offense around Elliott. Nothing more to say here. You know who Elliott is and just how much he dominates. Number 1. Christian McCaffrey, Carolina Panthers. 1,000 rushing yards and 1,000 receiving yards in 1 season? Yeah, you're the league's best running back, alright. McCaffrey became just the 3rd player in NFL history to join the 1,000 club in 2019. Who are the other 2 guys? Oh, just a couple of average Joes by the name of Roger Craig and Marshall Faulk. Even without starting QB Cam Newton for 14 games, McCaffrey had 1,387 rushing yards, 15 rushing touchdowns, and 116 catches for 1,005 yards and 4 receiving touchdowns. McCaffrey is the NFL's best running back until proven otherwise. Don't at us. It's no wonder Carolina made him the NFL's highest paid back in the offseason. But hey, who do you think is the best running back in the NFL entering 2020? Join us in that comment section below. If you like this video and learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps out a ton, and hey, we appreciate it. If this is your first time coming around to TPS though, subscribing is a great idea because we put out videos like this every single day. But as always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time.